the obvious question first is, we were told last week that we would probably not be invoking cloture during this debate. I know this isn't cloture, but it's essentially the same thing. What shifted there?
I don't know that anything shifted. I mean, they've got more time under what the Rules Committee just did than they would have under cloture. Most of the existing amendments that are on the desk could have been already knocked out as being dilatory or duplicative. So, I mean, we've been here, 10 hours today? How many hours we were on Friday? We're on 7 amendments. We've heard about volleyball, we've heard about kickball or soccer or karate or whatever those other topics that we have. Much of the debate that we've heard today is not germane. I believe every motion that was made.
I think every time a germaneous motion was made, it was sustained as being non-germane. And to add to Chairman Newton's point, even when you looked at, I think, a couple of the maps that were put up, they violated such obvious, everyone I think understands this process that the one person, one vote principle applies. Therefore, the districts have to equal out population-wise. And what you saw in multiple of the map presentations was that they didn't take into account even the population, so they were non-starters to begin with. And again, it wasn't a discussion as to those issues. It was, as Chairman Newton said, everything else under the sun. So I think what you saw was, again, I agree, it wasn't cloture. It's a different animal. But it was partly in frustration to the hours and hours of debate without seemingly much interest in actually accomplishing much with those amendments.
And we saw one Republican amendment today. How many were sponsored by Republicans? Out of that number, do you have a guess?
One.
Just one?
Well, I thought you meant in what we've
Oh,
taken
yeah,
up
the civil
today.
law,
There may be one or two.
First amendment was
Committee,
I
second
presented
was
ours today. It was
Yep.
the commission boards,
Yep.
and then there was one other Republican. All the rest were Democrats.
So all the amendments that are on the desk now, they're all Democratic amendments?
There may be one or two.
No, there's a handful.
Yeah, one or two.
What was the final count for amendments on the desk today? Yeah.
My understanding,
I think last time I looked, there's 618.
I was going to guess wrong.
What are you gonna guess?
5 something.
And one of the observations I think we all have made from you all being here today, we heard some of the exact same questions and the exact same, what was referred to as testimony, over and over and over and over again. It's the same points without trying to actually move through many of the amendments that you heard folks say tonight, that we put these on the desk and we expected to hear them. Well, when did you expect to hear them if we were never going to get to them in the manner in which the debate's proceeded so far?
Do you have a time estimate of when this is gonna wrap up tomorrow? Or this got second reading tomorrow?
Certainly possible.
What time tomorrow?
Well, I mean, just run the numbers out. It depends on how many amendments are filed based on what the Rules Committee just did, and based on that number of amendments that are filed, the calculation of time that follows that.
Representative Wetmore made a point that those amendments were filed under different rules, and you all just changed the rules midway through the game. How do you respond to that with what happened here?
I would disagree with that. I don't think we changed the rules. The rules, or the package of rules we're operating under have been adopted, I think, a couple of years at the beginning of session. So we didn't recreate the rules to then do this today. We used the rules that have been in existence that the majority of the body adopted back when we initially started the session. So I think that's a slightly mischaracterization of what actually occurred.
I guess she was maybe referring more to what you all did during the Rules Committee that was quickly called without really much notice. I mean, why not make that more publicly available to people too?
Again, it was an option available under the rules package that was passed 2 years ago. I think they followed the letter of the law by way of the rules. Some questions were asked, if you remember, points of order were made to the speaker, and the speaker, I believe, correctly delineated his ruling on those based on that notice was constructively given by way of, this was available by way of the rules process. So again, I don't think we moved the ball. I think we just used the rules as the rules were contemplated in existence.
Not to ask it in such a pointed way, but are you guys concerned with the optics of how this is playing out? I mean, one, the Rules Committee, there were the terms that have been discussed was notice very late. We're setting ourselves up to vote on these basically in the middle of the night tomorrow. We're also talking about active duty service members ballots. It's Memorial Day weekend. There's obvious tie-in there. I mean, have y'all been thinking about that at all?
I mean, I think you've heard concerns expressed from when we were in the subcommittee about the number of votes that had come back, trying to do something as quickly as possible. That if we're doing that, I think what you saw today was an effort not to do anything as quickly as possible. And as we mentioned, and to your question about whether it was cloture or not, most of the rules, most of the amendments that are already on the desk could have been ruled out of order, perhaps in mass, because of being duplicative or dilatory in what they were. So quite frankly, this allows the opportunity to reset, allows more time than what would be allowed under cloture, and allows for there to be a meaningful debate if that's what's intended to happen. If it was not intended to happen and they were just going to get another 500 rules to try to delay the ultimate discussion and having a vote on this, I think that what the Rules Committee did puts appropriate parameters on it. And quite frankly, I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody engaged in this debate that this was happening at some point in time. And I think that by doing it in the way that the Rules Committee did it, instead of invoking cloture, provides more opportunity for amendments to be reset, put on the desk, and for them to be an opportunity for them to be debated.
Can you describe what the amendments were that could have been ruled dilatory?
Well, there's a whole list of them, and I mean, I don't have, obviously, as he said a minute ago, there are about 600 of them, but we could happy to go through and you can look at the list and see the ones that are there and read them if you would like. Most of us have been, or at least a handful of us have been spending most of the day looking at those.
Why not try to establish some rules or parameters earlier on in the process, and why, I guess, wait 2 days of debate to establish the rules?
Well, I mean, I think that 2 days of a debate gives us the reason as to why. We're not establishing the rules. Remember, the rules exist today. What this is in looking at what the parameters of debate are moving forward. Well, it was because, I mean, would you say today was an opportunity to debate in a meaningful way the amendments, or an opportunity just to delay time? I mean, it's sort of a rhetorical question back. You all watched the debate today. 7 amendments moved forward. Was today a day about actually having substantive debate, or was today about grinding the wheels grinding the gears to a halt?
So you're trying to wait to see them?
No, I mean, I just think it's being respectful of all parties, and what are we here to do? I mean, the Republicans have a supermajority. And yet we were not trying to start this debate from word one to stop the discussion. It was a respectful opportunity, and then we've been here 2 full days, and we've heard about karate, and we've heard about volleyball, and we've heard about a number of things that every time the germaneness motion was made, as Chairman Jordan said, the Speaker or the presiding officer sustain that point of order. So again, this is about trying to have a meaningful debate on the topic that's before us.
Representative Valentine kind of spoke a little bit about his opposition to the process. Are you expecting your caucus to kind of stay together on the vote, or are you expecting more detractors, I guess?
No, I don't. Best I can tell, yeah, we're together. I mean, we have a few people that from the start have told us they can't support it. We understand that, but I think when we finally get to that vote, you'll see a pretty strong vote from the Republican caucus. I mean, we've talked to every member, and we've doubled back to make sure nobody changed, and the ones that have shown or spoken today or shown through some of their votes have told us up front they were not going to support it. So we haven't been surprised by any of our votes, no.
I mean, there have been plenty of quiet concerns. Is there a reason that we haven't heard more Republicans talking about them publicly? They feel like there's a liability in doing so?
That's up to each individual person. I mean, you're here to represent your 47,000 constituents or whatever it is now. And so, I mean, sure, there's probably been some concerns from some folks, but at the end of the day, we'll see how they vote. But as far as we know, our vote's going to be very strong.
How many of your 89 members do you expect to take their 10 minutes tomorrow? I know Garrett Brewer just had a kid, so he's probably not going to be.
I don't know. No, we'll get to that point when we get toward the end of the debate tomorrow. We'll start checking around to see who wants to speak or who doesn't want to speak. I don't foresee, unless these two guys say something different, I don't foresee any of us putting up amendments. No one's come to me and said, hey, look, I got some amendments I want to put up. Unless something comes up and the two chairmen need to clean up something or need to do something, I don't expect to see any amendments come from our side. And then when it comes time to talk, I don't know who will be. I would expect probably one or both of these two guys to stand up here and maybe say a word or two, but no one else has come to me so far and said they won't speak on the bill.
Sure not gonna force him to speak?
It's gonna be worse tomorrow, I can tell you.
After multiple days of discussion and opportunity, I don't know what much else can be said. At a certain point in time, everything's been said.
Yeah, and we heard a lot today about the data wasn't available. I'm assuming that you all have probably looked on the redistricting website that we put up, and it's down to the granular level of the precinct that shows the population, shows all the information. I'm not sure everybody's availed themselves of the opportunity to do that, despite the fact that, we've said throughout this, as soon as this process started, it's on the web. As soon as we got the information and the data, the bill was filed, that information was all put out there to make sure that people had ample opportunity to see it. Some may not have done it, others may not have realized that it's on the website, despite the fact that we've made multiple announcements.
Representative Hyatt, are you still hoping to hit May 26th as the deadline for all this? Is that still the target? What happens if it goes beyond that?
I would, my personal preference is that we get second reading tomorrow and we finish it up Wednesday. Now the body decides that, but that'd be my personal preference, is that we get second reading sometime tomorrow.
I'm talking about like the whole process with the Senate getting done. I thought, yeah.
Hey, you guys have been here long enough to know you don't ever know what's going to happen over there. We hope to send it to them tomorrow by lunchtime or Wednesday, and get it to them and let them decide when they think they need to take it up.
So the Senate's aware that they may be coming back in Wednesday afternoon?
Oh yeah, we've been in communication with them all through the whole process. We talked to them several times a day to kind of keep them updated where we were.
Has anyone said they're willing to come in over Memorial Day weekend?
That's the president's majority leader's problem over there. We got our guys in here, so we did our part.
And to go back on that point, May 26th is the absolute drop dead. We can't do anything after that, or we can.
I'll let you two guys have to answer that question.
I don't know if there's any necessarily any drop dead date, but that's certainly the day that early voting starts.
Yeah.
We've said from initiating this time is of the essence, and I think what you've seen from the House is we've tried to move with a reasonable amount of speed, but at the same time also demonstrated today and Friday and tomorrow. We've been here quite a lengthy period of time for purposes of debate, so I think it's a good balance of moving at a reasonable rate of speed to get the goal accomplished, just as the leader said, send it over to the Senate. At the same time, give everyone an opportunity to speak and put up amendments and discuss that, go through that process.
What was the decision made to play this card to limit debate? Was it 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, back on Friday?
Well, there's been discussion all along about seeing how the debate evolves. And that just like cloture, these are opportunities that are available to help concentrate and focus the debate on substantive issues rather than just dilatory tactics.
You got to remember that this is all new to all of us. What we're doing in here now, I've been here 22 years and we've never taken up something like this. And so when we started the process, these two guys jumped on it real quick and started moving the ball forward. They knew what they had to do. They knew their timeline. Moved the ball forward with great precision, still doing a great job on the floor. And as we see, as we have to adjust a little bit, we're adjusting. There's things in there on the floor that we talk about y'all may not see out here. There's things up there that we have to maybe talk about, maybe do this or do that. But the rules committee and those kind of things, obviously those rules have been in place. We knew they were there since January of 2025. So it's an option when we started this process, and we kept them in mind. And we all had a conversation about it and felt like that was the best thing to do.
You told us last Wednesday that this was going to be a long, tedious, hopefully respectful process. Has it kind of matched what your expectations would be for this process, or how is it kind of different from that? Yeah.
Oh, I think it's been great. I don't think there's been any problem. I think that the Democrats have done it. They've stood up there and they've argued their point. Sometimes they've got off topic, but they've argued their point, and they've made it clear where they stand on it. Our folks have, at times, it could have been some of them that made this might want to retaliate or respond or something. They've done a good job. The quorum's been great. I mean, I don't think we got any problem whatsoever with the quorum in here. I mean, we all respect each other. No matter what the final vote's going to be, we're going to respect each other. And that's the one thing I can say about the South Carolina House of Representatives. We always respect each other no matter what the outcome is. And we're showing it today. We're showing it to the people of South Carolina. We can disagree, but we can respect each other when we walk away from it. And I believe when this process is over, we'll respect each other just as much as we did when we started the process.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.